The Prepper Podcast, Episode 8.
You've got to know whether or not their president's a crook.
The American people would never vote for socialism. He said, under the name of liberalism, the American people will adopt every fragment of the socialist program.
The Prepper Podcast is an up-to-date survival podcast based on military, wilderness, and modern-day survival, and may be found at theprepperpodcast.com. I am Ken Jensen, and this is the podcast about everything survival. This is Episode 8, and I'm going to discuss a cheap way of being prepared in storms, whether it is a thunderstorm, ice storm, snowstorm, tornadic storm, or a hurricane. And this episode can be found at theprepperpodcast.com/008. But before I get into today's topic, I want to talk to you guys about the fact that my podcast is on iTunes and it's on Stitcher Radio. If you look on my website on the right-hand side, there are about 4 different ways that you can subscribe to my podcast and get everything to come to you automatically so you don't have to keep trying to find it. Well, hopefully you guys don't hear it, but we actually have it really coming down outside right now. Here's the thing. It's the fall, so it's not like it's the spring where we have tornadoes every week, that kind of thing, but it is the fall and the weather is changing, so we still get bad storms, and we have about a 30% chance of tornadoes today, so there is a possibility that will happen, and it's a possibility that will happen while I'm doing this. And if that does happen, don't worry, I'll be able to finish because I'm on a laptop with backup power. If you have enough notice, your best chance of survival when something is heading your way, and you don't think that you can just, stay through it, your best chance is to evacuate. I remember back when I lived on the East Coast, we had several large hurricanes come through, and what we did is we ended up going to the mountains for vacation and coming back after the hurricane went through. That was always a pretty fun time for us to do that while everybody else was trying to hunker down during a hurricane, and our stuff may have been gone, but we never would have been. Now, we came back, and usually our stuff was fine. One time I had one of my my sheds was destroyed, but that was no big deal. So sometimes you just can't get up and leave, though, because you live in Central Arkansas, North Texas, Oklahoma, Tornado Alley. You can't just up and leave every single time there's a tornado. So you kind of just have to deal with it because you'd be gone half the year if you decided to bug out every single time that there was a storm that had bad potential. In that time, you have to prepare yourself to bug in, and you have to have the items needed to bug in. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about is the items that you would need if you're going to bug in during a large storm of some sort that could take out your power and could leave you without heating or cooling. So pay attention as I discuss how to survive these storms and what to do to make your life a little bit better. Alright, well, there's some basic needs that I'm going to go over. There is lighting, heating or cooling, safety, food, and water. I will also be talking about energy, which is kind of the lighting and everything, and This is not an extensive list. This isn't meant to get you through 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 months without any sustainability. This is meant to get you through a couple days without your power and stuff like that. If you are already prepared for more, then you probably have all the stuff I'm talking about. Boy, it is really coming down out there. So hopefully you guys can't hear that. Hopefully my production quality is good enough that you cannot hear that. And you'll have to forgive my voice this morning because I am coming down with a little something. And it's nothing. I'm not going to get sick or anything, but I'm coming down with a little bit of scratchiness or hoarseness in my throat because the weather changing right now, and it's just been hot and cold. That's kind of what happens during the fall, so you'll have to forgive that. So let's get started. First, lighting. Headlamps and lights. I want you guys to understand something. Most of you have lights around the house. You've got candles, you've got flashlights, you have lamps, you have all kinds of stuff that could be used when the power is out. Think camping gear as well. If you can use it for camping, it's going to be great for whenever the power goes out. So I prefer headlamps because headlamps are hands-free and you can use them while doing things, but flashlights are fine. And I'm how do I say this? I am a big proponent of buying things that are local to your country. I have people that are from outside the country that listen to this, but because I'm American, I believe in buying things that were made by American people. That's to keep the money in my economy. However, I am also big on getting some preps that you need for the best bang for your buck, so to speak. And one of those things is to go to Harbor Freight and get yourself some of those small LED flashlights. They have a lot of those things. They come with batteries. You're going to want to keep extra batteries on hand because these batteries aren't very good anyways. But go ahead and keep those. I would recommend getting some rechargeable batteries so that you can use those. Let's see. Go ahead and put all of those flashlights and stuff in a different drawer throughout the house. The idea is you want to be able to get to a flashlight anywhere you are. There are two things that I definitely recommend having all throughout the house. The first thing is flashlights for storms. The second thing is pepper spray, just in case somebody was to break into your home or something like that. It's always good to have one of those two things. And if your flashlight is good enough and bright enough, you can actually use that to flash or to shine in somebody's face and disorient them while spraying them with pepper spray. So the flashlights are kind of double duty. But have the flashlights in a drawer throughout the house. Just in every single room, you should have flashlights. And if you're like me, you have trouble keeping children out of your flashlights. So what I did is I actually bought them their own. And sometimes Harbor Freight will have these flashlights for free just for going there. It's just to get you to show up because they have a lot of sales. But like I said, I take the flashlights that I bought really cheap, or that they don't cost anything because they had a sale or something at Harbor Freight. I take those flashlights and give one to each child, and I put their initial on the flashlight so that they know that's theirs. And if it is not their flashlight, then they leave it alone. I don't want them getting into the drawers and stuff like that and messing with the flashlights that we have in the drawers. So next on the list is heating and cooling. Some of this you really have to think about having electricity, and I'll go over that here in a minute. But if you've got electricity, Then for cooling, you're going to want things like small fans so that you can cool down each person. If you have enough power, you can get a little window unit. That's going to draw quite a bit of power, so you're not going to want to use it for a really long time. Fans are a better option, and you can put those, excuse me, you can put those fans directly on each person, so you're going to do better there. And there are units called chiller units, and all they do is add a little humidity to the air, and all the air wicking of the water that is flowing down these little grates or whatever. The water's flowing down, the air moves through, and what it does is it actually drops the temperature of the water or of the air by about 10 to 15 degrees. And all it has is a little bitty pump that rotates water around, and it's got a excuse me, I told you guys my voice is kind of messed up this morning, but it's got air that flows through those gratings with the water, and yeah, I guess I lost my train of thought, but I guess that's it. It's just a chiller unit. Water flows through, air flows through the little water grates, cools the air down. Now, you're not going to want to use this 100% of the time at your house because the humidity is probably going to destroy or rot some of the stuff in your home. So you don't want all that humidity in there all the time. For heating, I think that, once again, if you have a little bit of power, you don't need much. Small space heaters, they pull a lot. They pull quite a bit of energy, but if you have the energy, a small space heater in a room that everybody's going to stay in together is a really good thing to have. And I'm a real big fan of electric blankets. I would get a lot of regular blankets and wool blankets also, because if the electric blankets fail, you don't want to be stuck with one thin microfiber blanket that is frankly not going to keep you very warm. You're going to want to have some backup blankets so that you can layer. Now, the electric blanket is really cool because, especially nowadays those electric blankets, they work to a set temperature if you get a halfway decent one. And I got a story to tell you guys. One time we went to do exactly what I'm telling you guys, and we went to a place called Essex, and we saw something that was packaged as an electric blanket, and what it was a blanket and an extension cord, and I'm not even joking. We opened up the bag, because we always do that if we go to Essex. It's like a bargain hunt place. It's secondhand, or it's refurbished stuff, or overstock, or something that has something small wrong with it. Well, we were there, and I saw the electric blanket, so we're like, we kind of need one of those right now. So what I did is we opened up the bag, we looked inside, and it was just a blanket and an extension cord. We took that up front and told them about it, and told them that that's kind of ridiculous, but we got a good chuckle that day. So electric blankets are really cool because they're low draw. They draw the power they need to get to the temperature that they need to get to if you've got a newer one. The old ones just stayed on. But the newer ones will get you to the temperature and they'll shut down. Most of the times you can also set a timer on them to shut them down. So if you're wanting the electric blanket through the night, but you don't want them on during the morning, so let's say that night is like 30 degrees, and for some reason you've got huge swings and morning is going to be like 60 or 70, you could set it to automatically go off before or about the time that the temperature is starting to rise. So that's something that you can do with the electric blankets, and that's why they are by far my favorite heating device that runs off electricity. Now, speaking of favorite devices, try rocket mass heaters. I don't have a rocket mass heater, guys, and I really wish I did. That's one of those projects that I plan on working on. But I know that in my my blog on the cleversurvivalist.com, I have written a couple times about rocket mass stoves and rocket mass heaters. And if you take a rocket mass stove and you turn it on its side, and then you put a big barrel for the gas to go up into, and expand, and then there's an outlet. That's essentially what a rocket mass heater is. All right, the rocket mass heater, all the exhaust and stuff like that is going to heat up a really big mass, and so you can burn a rocket mass heater for like an hour, and the mass that it heats up will stay hot for a good 8 to 9 hours. So rocket mass heater is a way to go, and all it takes is some sticks out of your yard. That is it. Just sticks out of the yard, and you can keep yourself warm all night without any electricity. That is cool. Now let's think about some safety stuff. You need to use common sense. You need to go to the best like during let's say a tornado or something. You need to go to the best shelter you got. We have a storm shelter. We have a storm shelter slash. We have a storm shelter slash root cellar, and that's what we use. But not everybody has storm shelters, so they talk about getting into the most interior room you have without windows and hunkering down. It's always a good idea to have a lot of bedding or something like that to cover yourself with, or a mattress or something, because if the ceiling falls in, you want to be protected from anything that's going to fall. So we just we have the shelter, but we didn't always have the shelter, and that's what we did. We always went to our laundry room where everything's kind of it is kind of close together, and we would cover ourselves with the clean laundry that hadn't been folded yet, and and some blankets, or a mattress. I'm gonna pause this real quick and get something to drink, and I'll be right back. And I'm back now. Like I said, with the sheltering and stuff like that, if you're like in a trailer and there's a tornado coming right at you, there's a tornado, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes away, and you just know it's going to hit your town, it's probably a good idea to get the heck out of your trailer. There's a certain point at which you have to say, you have to go into your hallway, put your head between your legs, and kiss your butt goodbye because you didn't get out soon enough. But trailers don't stand up very well, so have if you're going to be in a trailer, please have some kind of shelter or something to get into. There are companies that will just pour a concrete pad and they will bolt down a shelter that'll withstand 4 tornadoes. Okay, so there's that. Now, as far as snow and ice, you're going to need to be in a shelter that can withstand a lot of weight. We have area in our attic that we want to, that we would like to build into some more rooms, and that's still a possibility, but we haven't done it, and we haven't done it in a long time. We've been here quite a while, and we haven't done it, and the main reason is because I don't want to weigh down the house and then have an ice storm and then my ceiling collapse because my beams can't support it. So we've got to do a lot of infrastructure work if we wanted to add rooms, and that's just not something I really want to do right now. All right, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is weather radios. You're going to want an AM, FM weather radio, and those are the channels that you're going to want. There are radios that have other things, but I'm going to recommend AM, FM, and weather as the channels. Now, I have a few weather radios that I want to talk about. The first weather radio is the Midland WR300. That's kind of the best overall on consumer search. That's kind of the best overall weather radio. That's the Midland WR300. Another really good one is the Sangent DT400W. That's the Sangent, SANGEANT DT 400W. And that's considered one of the best handheld weather radios. I'm sorry, the Midland WR300 is going to run you somewhere around 40, 41 bucks. The Sangent DT 400W is going to run you about $52, $53. The next one, the best emergency hand crank radio, is the Ambient Weather WR-111B. Ambient Weather WR-111B, and that is going to be about $35. And then the one that we actually have in our home is the Midland WR-120. That's Midland WR-120, and that one's about $30. That is considered one of the highest functioning, cheaper weather radios, and I'm telling you guys that it's been great. I believe when we first bought it, we had a real bad issue with the WR20 or 120 having always alerting us when there was just any kind of storm coming through or something like that. I think that we figured out how to correct that, but just be aware that it's not the easiest to set up for alerts on just like tornadoes and not severe storm warnings and that kind of thing. So until you figure that out, you may want to just wait until you have a really bad storm coming through before you turn it on, because we used to have issues with that thing coming on with its alarm. It actually has a little alarm that you can turn it on, so you don't have the weather radio going on in the background. It has an alarm that it's passively checking all of the stations, and when a alert comes through, it'll alarm, and then you've got to get up and go over to the weather radio and flip it on. So that's kind of a cool feature, and all that, it's got the same certification as all the other radios. The one distinct disadvantage is it does not allow the disabling of unwanted alerts. So that is the issue. So I guess I thought my wife had figured that out, but she probably didn't. Right now I'm just looking at the review on it, but it does not allow disabling of all these storm alerts like I was talking about. So, it's about half price of the really good one. So you get what you pay for. We have one, and it's worked well. It is not in our bedroom. One of the more expensive ones would be in our bedroom. This one is in our living room, where nobody is probably sleeping anyways. And another thing that I think you guys would do well to think about is how about a police scanner app for your phone? There are a lot of different services for police scanner listening or whatever, and this is a pretty cool technology. I wish they had a better technology, but usually these are done by users. There will be users that are actively sitting beside a scanner, and they are uploading or they are streaming the audio from the scanner over to the app repository, and then you can pick it up from there. There are some of the bigger towns and stuff like that. I think they have something in place that automatically does it. But in small towns, sometimes it's just because people are recording it in. But these scanner apps are actually pretty darn good. Even though it's got its inherent problems, it costs you nothing. Both of these apps that I'm talking about will cost you absolutely nothing. The first app is called Radio Scanner, and that is on Android. All right, that's called Radio Scanner, and it is free. It's free for Android, so just go to the Android the Google Play Store for Android and go ahead and download Radio Scanner. And then on iPhone, there's another free app called the Radio Police Scanner Lite. I'm going to provide links to this and the radios and everything else that I talk about, that I can think about. I'll provide links to all that stuff in my show notes. And once again, those show notes are at theprepperpodcast.com/008. All right, now for food. This isn't going to be a huge category because food is not a huge concern whenever it's just a storm, but we all know that storms can take out your power, and that can be gone for quite a while if it's a big enough storm. But this is the low cost storm survival checklist. So unfortunately, I'm not going to tell you to buy yourself a generator. I'm not going to tell you to have a month's worth of food and storage, that kind of thing. That comes with your prepping. But this right here is just for storm survival to get you through that night. So food, just to kind of keep everybody at bay, you may want to have wherever you're going to be going in the event of a storm, go ahead and have some granola bars or food supplement bars, that kind of thing, in whatever shelter you're going to be in, because it's just really nice to have something a little sweet and a little calorie inducing whenever everybody's freaked out or whatever. And like I said, if you've got a storm shelter, you keep those down there, then you've got something to eat while you know that you're being safe. So go ahead and get yourself that. How about some granola? Granola is okay. I mean, it's not something that I choose to eat every day, but granola tastes pretty decent. And trail mix. Trail mix is really good. And beef jerky. All these are not quite as perishable as typical food. So you want less perishable, low input food, because you're probably not going to be cooking during the storm. Or if you are cooking during the storm, that may go away. Now, as far as us, we go down in that storm shelter because of a tornado or something. Well, we're probably not going to be cooking down there. Now, when we come back up, we will be able to cook because of a gas range. So, and we also have a propane grill that we can use for cooking. So even while the power's out, we have means of cooking our food. And that would take me to tell you guys to go ahead, if you don't have a propane or charcoal grill, and I'm really considering propane because it is closer to a stove than a charcoal grill. I know charcoal has better flavor, and I actually love the flavor of charcoal more than propane, but what I'm talking about is like a emergency cooking device. And in that case, the propane is going to do you a little bit better. And it's going to be a little more efficient, and I think it's probably ultimately going to be cheaper to buy the propane and do that much cooking or whatever before it runs out. All right. Now for water. All right. Once again, food and water are both a little bit longer term. So here's the thing. In our normal preps, we would want to have water storage available. Hopefully you do that. I talk about that on my blog, and eventually I will be talking about all of that throughout my podcast and stuff like that. But if you are looking to store water, go ahead and start using old 2-liter bottles. If you know anybody that does soda, use 2-liter bottles. 2-liter bottles are great. I don't want to get into the reasons why I prefer those, but I prefer those, and then like the big apple juice bottles, things like that. So you can just store those bottles down in your shelter or in the room that you're going to be staying in, and then you've got a water supply. But what I really want to talk about is beyond all the bottles, and, guys, store however many you want, but beyond the bottles, if you know that there's a big storm coming, what I would do, well, first, make sure that you have a stopper in your bathtub that will actually hold the water. And then when you know that a storm's coming, fill your bathtub. Okay, so if you fill your bathtub, like our bathtub, don't quote me on this, I don't actually know how much it will hold, but I'm going to think that our bathtub probably holds at least 20 to 25 gallons. And I might be cutting it way short there, but our bathtub probably holds about 20 gallons. And then what that means is even without the bottles of storage and stuff that I have, we would actually have somewhere around 70 gallons of water. And the other 50 gallons are coming from our hot water heater. And actually, I think that's 60 gallons, not 50 gallons. So we would probably have 80 gallons. And that's pretty cool. You've just got to be able to know how to drain your hot water heater whenever the time comes. Much of what I have talked about today, you should be able to do from everything that you have in your home. I know that you've got a lot of flashlights and stuff. All it is that you have to organize what you have. So organization for what you have is key. Get organized. Make a list of what you have. Make a list of what you need. Get the basics that you need and organize it. All right, so let's talk about the generator stuff. I know I told you a minute ago that we would just do a real quick on some generator and stuff, but first you're going to want to go with a portable model generator. If you don't already have one, go with a portable model generator because they're cheaper than the installed generators, and you're going to want like 2,500 watts or something. But if you want to go get one smaller, that's fine too. Just know that you can't run so much stuff with it. But I'd go with a portable generator of 2,500 watts. It's going to be pretty cheap. It's going to be like a couple $100, and then you can run basic electrical loads. So you're going to want like LED lighting. You'll be able to run your refrigerator off and on. Just run it until it cools down, and then turn it off. And then every so often you want to run it again, just to cool it down again. So that your food doesn't spoil, that kind of stuff. That's fine. But here's the key, is when you have a small generator, you limit your load. So just make sure that you don't overload your generator. That's really important. Okay. If you are wanting to get there a little bit quicker, you can go ahead and buy an 800 watt inverter. And a couple inverters that I have. Let's see. I'm going to give you a list real quick of some inverters. There is the Whistler Pro 800W, which is an 800 watt power inverter. There's the Cobra CPI 880, 800 watt 12 volt DC to 120 AC inverter. And that one's got a USB, 5 volt USB. Now, those are the ones that I recommend you getting because you connect those directly up to your car battery, and you can use your car as an 800 watt generator. That's pretty cool. So that's kind of what I recommend to do first, is get yourself a $70 or less, maybe $60 800 watt inverter to connect straight up to your car battery. Now, there are 400 watt versions, the Cobra CPI 480 or the Duracell 813 0400 07. And I'm going to have links to all these, so don't worry about it. But these are all recommended inverters. And if you go over 200 watts, do not plug it into your cigarette outlet, because as soon as you do, the fuse is going to pop. Well, it won't be as soon as you plug it in, but as soon as you load it down up to that 200 watts, you're going to pop your fuse, and then you've got power no more. So you may as well just get one of these bigger ones, learn how to set it up onto your battery, and use your car as a generator to charge its battery and to keep you running. Okay. Let's see. When you do that, then you can, after you've done that and after you've gotten yourself a generator, you could do a battery bank. You could use your generator or your car to charge your battery bank. And cool thing about a battery bank is you get one marine battery or 2 golf cart batteries, and you've got enough to run things off of. And then over time, you can just add 1 or 2 more, add 1 or 2 more, add 1 or 2 more. And then eventually you've got this huge battery bank that it wasn't really hard to accumulate because you did it a little bit at a time. And that's the cool thing about batteries is they are scalable. They do cost quite a bit, and they are a little bit inefficient, but they're quiet. And if you get the right kinds, which I'm not going to go in detail because I'm already too far into this podcast, but just go ahead and think about what I've said about the battery bank and stuff, and you can probably go and look on my stuff about inverters on cleversurvivalist.com. Let's see. There's always solar heater, or there's always solar power and stuff like that. Alternative energy is always an option. I have a small solar system because I just didn't want to have to deal with it once I bought it. I just wanted it to work. So I did buy a small solar system for my battery bank that I have in my storm shelter. But there are other better ways of having alternative energy. I would really like to get some things that run off of the natural gas that's coming into my home. That'd be pretty cool. And get things that run off propane. So it is what it is. So I'm sorry that I've been all over the place, but normally I'm in my studio. Today I am at a table by the window listening to all this rain and just basically rambling on. And if I did give you the information that I wanted to give you, but if it seems kind of odd today, if my podcast seems a little bit off, I've been a little bit off today, so I apologize for that, but hopefully you guys did get something good out of it. Here's the call to action today. Let's get an 800 watt inverter or a small generator if you don't already have one, okay? So 800 watt inverter to plug up to your car, or get a small 2500 watt generator if you don't already have something that you can use. You have a car sitting out front, you may as well turn it into a generator or buy yourself a generator. The next thing, please go to iTunes. Go to iTunes, go to theprepperpodcast.com/iTunes. All right, and it will take you right there. If you want to go Stitcher, you can go to theprepperpodcast.com/Stitcher. But what I'm asking is go to theprepperpodcast.com/iTunes. And go ahead and give me a good review there. Write a comment because you will help my iTunes rankings. It's very important. This is a podcast, and one of the biggest podcast repositories is iTunes. So if you help my podcast rankings, you will help me get found by more people, and I can teach more people. So A 5-star review would be great if you feel that I deserve it. So go ahead, get over to iTunes, give me a review, give me some comments, and help me get found. I appreciate you guys listening to me. And this is the PrepperPodcast.com. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.